Let's learn how to interface a stepper motor with a knowledge about how a stepper motor works, how to calculate the step angle and resolution in a stepper motor, what are the various control schemes used for controlling the stepper motor. We'll understand the concept behind hardware and program with respect to interfacing of stepper motor with 8051. We'll also look into the procedure how to use an 8051 VI microcontroller kit to interface a stepper motor, followed by a demo. If you look into the need of stepper motor provides an easy, simple, faster, better torque producing system than any other motor available for a robotic application. If you look into the stepper motor, it has a rotor having no windings, no brushes, and no commutators. Whereas the stator is concerned, it is having a multi-pole, multi-phase winding. Usually, the number of stator windings will be 3 or more. The stator is an electromagnetic stator, meaning the magnetic lines of force are produced with the help of electromagnets. The entire stepper motor works on the principle of electromagnetism. The rotor moves in a controlled speed, precise position, at discrete steps with the support of digital pulses that drives the motor with the help of power electronic switches. The stepper motor are of three basic types. One is permanent magnet, hybrid, and variable reluctance type. We will look into the permanent magnet in this lecture. Let's take a stepper motor having 6 stator teeth and 4 rotor teeth. If you look at this particular diagram, you can see windings are there available in the stator teeth alone, whereas the rotor, probably it will be a permanent magnet. If you look at the orientation of the stator teeth with respect to the rotor teeth is aligned to the stator teeth. This provides a path for the magnetic lines of force produced in the stator poles to pass on through the rotor poles. Now, rotor and stator poles, which may or may not have teeth like structure, which obviously depends upon the type of stator or the stepper motor. Whenever the stator is energized, the rotor moves to align itself along with the stator. Stators are energized in the sequence at different poles to rotate the stepper motor. Now let's watch this video which gives you a clear picture about how a 6 by 4 stepper motor works. As you see here, phase A is being energized. Meanwhile, the rotor is aligned to the energized phase. When the next phase gets aligned, the rotor rotates to a degree of 30 so that it can get aligned with the second or the B phase which is energized currently. Now if you look at the direction in which the stator is being energized, the stator is energized in the anti-clockwise direction, whereas the rotor is trying to rotate in the clockwise direction. This is an important thing that should be noted. Likewise, if I keep on energizing one phase after the other, the rotor will make a discrete step of 30° and continue to rotate until the phase is being energized. Let's calculate the step angle as well as the resolution of a stepper motor. The formula given here helps you to calculate the step angle, which is given by 360 degree upon the product between number of stator phases and the number of rotor poles. Here in this particular configuration, we have a three-phase stator with four rotor poles, which helps us to achieve a step angle of 30 degree. Whereas resolution, if it is concerned, resolution talks about how many number of steps the rotor will make in order to complete one complete rotation. Now by that, if you calculate the resolution for this particular configuration of stepper motor is around 12. That means it takes 12 steps to make one rotation. If you look at the control schemes, there are various control schemes, right? Starting from full step and going towards half step. Now look at this particular configuration where in the full step you get a 30 degree for this configuration. For as half step is concerned, you can get a step angle of 15 degree, right, by half stepping method, right. Under full stepping method, we have two control schemes. One is the wave scheme, the other one is the phase scheme. So in the case of wave scheme, only one coil is energized at a particular time, right? Only one stator coil is energized at a particular time. Whereas if you consider a phase scheme, two coils will be energized simultaneously. Let's see this particular diagram. The third diagram shows at any point of time, two phases are energized simultaneously. Why we require such kind of control scheme? If you want to have more torque to be generated, then phase scheme can produce more torque when compared to the wave scheme. In a wave scheme, only one coil is energized at a time, whereas in a phase scheme, two coils are energized at a time. Now, talking about the half step, right? Now, talking about the half step, we are going to integrate both. That means successively we are going to change the number of phases which are being energized. Initially, we will energize two and then one and then two and then one. Likewise, we will keep on shifting the number of phases being energized, which will result in half stepping control scheme. Why half stepping control scheme? If I want to have very lesser step angle in order to improve the accuracy of any robotic application, then I can go with half step scheme, right? All these control schemes, that is wave, phase and half step scheme, they are purely based upon the software algorithm that you develop. The hardware remains the same for all the three. There is no hardware change, no additional hardware requirement is nothing is required like that. Only thing, you can keep changing the algorithm in order to suit your application. If you want higher torque, go for phase. If you want to have very less step angle, go for half step scheme. Let's go with wave scheme. Let's understand the wave scheme. In a wave scheme, as I told you, at any point of time, only one of the phase will be energized. So the energized phase here is given a value of 1, right? At any point of time, the energized phase will be given a value or will be assigned with a value 1. So converting this value into an hexadecimal value using binary coded decimal, 8421 technique, we can convert this value at each step into an 8-bit hexadecimal value as it is highlighted in yellow shades. So at step 1, here if you look at this particular diagram, A1 coil is energized. Meanwhile, S1 of the rotor is currently aligned with with A1 coil, right? So now let's shift or let's energize B2 coil. Rotor is now aligned to the B2 coil, right? And then if you proceed further, let's energize A2 coil again, right? When you energize A2 coil, here A2 coil is energized and the corresponding rotor pole is getting aligned to the A2 coil. And then finally, if you energize B1 coil, now the corresponding rotor pole is aligned with B1 coil, right? So almost like for every 30 degree, right? So initially you have 0 degree here at A1. Now 30 degree, when you the rotor makes 30 degree when you energize B2 coil, then another 30 degree and another 30 degree. So with the step of 3, you are able to get 90-degree shift, right? So 90-degree rotation of the rotor is possible with a step input, right? With 3 steps. When you loop this one completely with an infinite loop, then you will be able to make the rotor rotate for 360-degree, right? So that is how we try to achieve or control the stepper motor using a wave scheme. So if you want to change the direction of rotation, just reverse the sequence in which you have written this hexadecimal code, right? So when you write it in the reverse direction, then the motor will start rotating in the reverse direction. This is how stepper motor direction can also be controlled. If you look into the phase scheme, right, at any point of time, 2 phases will be energized, right? So the corresponding phases are given as 1, which is energized, right? So in the first step, A1 and B2 is energized, and in the second step, A2 and B2 is energized, and in the third step, A2 and B1 is energized, and in the fourth step, B1 and A1 is energized, right? So converting this into hexadecimal, you get an 8-bit hexadecimal value. Similarly, if you change the order in which these values are written, then you can change the direction of rotation, right? So this is a phase scheme. At any point of time, 2 phases are energized simultaneously, right? Half stepping, I think you can mix both wave and phase in an alternative manner, then you will be able to get a half step. This is an exact model or the kit which is available in the laboratory, where you have an 8051 microcontroller which will be programmed, or the program will be entered using a standard USB keyboard. Then you have a VTX bus to interface 8051 microcontroller kit with a stepper motor interfacing board, and then you have the stepper motor. You also have a reset button, right? We will be frequently using this reset button during the process of programming. Let's get into the program. Let's go step by step to understand how we can write such a code, right? Let's create a lookup table where you will store the values corresponding type of control scheme that we'll be using. Currently, I have selected a phase scheme, right? The values are taken from the phase scheme method, which is loaded in the particular memory location 4500. That reference is actually given here, right? That reference is actually given here. So at the end of this, the instruction will lead to storing of 45 in DPH and 00 in DPL. Then we are having a register R0 which is going to hold the number of elements in the lookup table. Currently the number of elements are 4. So 04 values stored in a lookup in a particular register R0, which will help us to make this loop easy. Now we are taking the first value from the location 4500 and assigning it to an accumulator. Then we are using a push instruction to push the content of DPH onto the stack. Then DPL, push DPL. The DPL value will be pushed onto the stack, right? When I do this, right, the values of DPH and DPL doesn't change. Why I need this, right? Because in the process, I'll be using two 16-bit address. One is 4500, the other one is FFC0. These two are 16-bit address. One, as I told you, 4500 is the address location where you have saved your reference values. And this FFC0 is the address where your interfacing kit is connected with the microcontroller. So whatever values that you have generated has to be sent to the microcontroller, sent to the interfacing kit through this particular address, FFC0, right? FFC0. Since we have only one 16-bit register, we are getting the help of the stack pointer so that we don't lose any of these address, right? FF 4500 or FFC0, we don't want to lose this. So we are storing the lookup table reference value in the stack pointer before we handle the address location or the address of the port where the interfacing board is connected. Right now, let's create a delay, because this delay program is going to control the speed of operation of the motor. Speed of the motor, right? So if the delay is large, then the speed of the motor will be less. So more the delay, lesser the speed. If you want to increase the speed of the motor, reduce the values, right? So you have values here, you have values here, and you have values here. You can reduce these values by which you can increase the speed of the stepper motor. You cannot completely nullify it because it takes some time for the hardware to respond and the motor to respond to the control command. So you need to have some minimum delay. As of now, we have handled three registers, R2, R1 and R3, which are going to contribute for the delay time, right? Okay. So after the delay, you are going to pass on the first value to the port FFC0. So first value reaches there. Now motor will make the first move, and then you are going to retrieve the information of the lookup table from the stack. For that we are using pop DPL. So the first value will come to DPL. Now as the data is removed from stack pointer, the particular location will become empty, right? And then DPH, the second value is also moved from the stack to DPH. So the stack is empty as of now. Since you need the second data, you are incrementing the DPTR value was 4500. Now you have incremented the value to 01 because you want to fetch the second value. So I have incremented DPTR, right, which will help me to get the data into my port, right? Now after doing this, after incrementing DPTR, I am reducing or decrementing the value of R0, which was earlier 04. Now it will become 03, right? Which is an indication that still you have three more values to be read from the lookup table, right? If it is not 0, then I'm going to proceed back, right? I'm going to proceed back here. Once it becomes 0, then I'm going to proceed to the next line which says SJMP start. So I'll come back to the start and reinitialize the program. So again, it will start from 09050608. Likewise, it keeps going. So this is how the 8051 is interfaced with stepper motor, and this is how the code is written to make the stepper motor to rotate in a particular direction, right? Okay, if you want to change the direction, just write 0A, 05, 0, sorry, 06, 05 and 09. If you write like this, the motor will start rotating in the reverse direction, right? Now, what is the procedure to run the stepper motor? How to use the 8051 VI microsystems kit for this particular application? Interface all the required components as shown in the previous diagram. Enter the program in the kit. For entering the program, we need to follow a procedure. First of all, as we power on the kit, the default display will be like this. You will have micro hyphen 51 and there will be a hash symbol and the cursor will be blinking. Type A and then hit enter. When you do so, it will ask for the origin from where you want to begin your program, right? In that case, you can type in 4100 and enter the first instruction, move dptr comma hash 4500. You'll be entering that one in that particular location, right? Once you do, once you proceed with the code as it is shown in this video, you'll be able to complete entering the program inside the microcontroller kit, where the starting address will be 4100. One instruction after the other instruction is being entered. So now we are entering the last line of the program, sjump 4100. After that, you need to press reset, right? Again, you'll land up in the command prompt. Now to enter the lookup table values, right? Enter the lookup table values. Now in the command prompt, we need to type sp, right? And then hit enter. Sp hyphen the starting address 4500 of the lookup table, and then start entering the value 09, hit enter, then 05, then hit enter, then 06, then hit enter, and then 08. So all the four values are being loaded into the lookup table location. Then again press reset. For executing the program, right, you need to type type go, starting address 4100, and then when you hit enter, then the motor will start rotating based upon the order in which you have given. I have also listed some of the advantages and disadvantages of stepper motor. You can have it as an additional reference. If you look into the application of stepper motor, it has been used right since you had your film based automatic cameras, right? Till the telescopic driver system, stepper motors are used so widely. Hope this video would have given you an insight about how to interface stepper motor with 8051 microcontroller. Thank you.